Well, howdy, Ags, and welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. And here we are dedicated to helping entrepreneurs improve their business, connect with other Aggie entrepreneurs, and support one another. I'm your host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998. Whoop! My co-host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001, was not able to make it to this episode, so I am flying solo. Well, I got a little story for you, Ags. Melanie Harleaux is a Navy veteran and former student of the McFerrin Center's Entrepreneurial Boot Camp for Veterans. Melanie opened a hair salon in Katy, Texas called Unconscious Beaute Studio, where she helps veterans and cancer patients by providing custom-made medical wigs. So pass it back and listen up to Melanie as she shares some good bull. Well, welcome back, Ags. We have got a special episode here. We've got Melanie Harleaux with Unconscious Beaute Studio. Thanks so much for coming on here, Melanie.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and kick this thing off with, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your entrepreneurial journey? Where did it start? Where are you now?
Well, I was born and raised in Louisiana, Baton Rouge to be exact. I came to Texas, went to the Navy, came back to Texas. I spent 16 years in healthcare right before I became a full-time entrepreneur. I worked at MD Anderson Cancer Center.
Okay,
last 7 years was in corporate finance. So during my time, my last year, I started implementing things, putting things together so that I could start, my salon. So I'm a certified Loctician. I'm a Cranial Prosthesis Specialist. I've been licensed as a cosmetologist since 2014. I kept up with my license all those years. And I just decided that it was time. It was time for me to start my salon again and, just get back into doing the things that I love doing the most, which is basically helping people feel confident and boost their self-esteem.
So excuse my ignorance, but I have no idea what a loctician is. Or you said something else, a cranial...
Yeah, cranial prosthesis. Yes.
Okay.
Right. Well, let's start with loctician. Loctician is basically those dreadlocks hairstyle. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to actually know how to make the actual locks and style and do all such and such with the locks down. But the cranial prosthesis is actually a medical grade wig, for people who suffer with alopecia, burn victims, people who suffer from extreme hair loss conditions like medication-induced or mental health issues. PTSD, MST, which is military sexual trauma. And also there's another one, trichotillomania, where people, impulse pulling their hair out because of their mental health issue.
Do y'all have a lot of people that come to your studio for that?
Yes, mostly for alopecia. In my community, we have a lot of cases where people have traction alopecia because of different hairstyles that they have. But people who suffer from alopecia areata, alopecia totalis, where it does not grow back at all. So I feel pretty again, I guess you could say.
Love it. Love it. So what made you decide to go into and start your studio?
It's something I've always wanted to do since I was a little girl, actually. I like to tell people I started at 11, but really I liked doing hair since I was 7. I didn't really start telling everybody about it till I was 11. I used to go to the salon with my mom. And all I knew was that the lady that used to do her hair, she owned the salon. And that's what I wanted to be, a salon owner. I didn't know anything about getting a license or anything like that, not until later on. But that's what I wanted to be. So, because I saw how people got out of her chair and they felt like their best. Yeah. And just how cheerful and just the feeling that they had when they left, just feeling good and looking good. So
how did you get into wigs? How did that even become an idea to do that?
Working at MD Anderson Cancer Center, I used to work at the front desk and I used to deal with so many cancer patients. And just, just seeing that as a stylist, that's the first thing I see on people is their hair. So I just wanted to figure out a way, how can I help these people? Even though I was working there, I ended up becoming a vendor at my job at the time and went as far as to finding someone to teach me how to do what I needed to do and getting basically registered as a vendor. And it's just been wonderful ever since.
Love that. And I saw on your website, you have Wigs for Vets, right?
Yes, I have a program for them.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
It's a program where I just It's called Healing Heroes Program, where I coach veterans who are under the care of the VA, a physician that's at the VA, and I coach them into how to obtain a cranial prosthesis or medical wig. They tend to not advertise that service. However, it is available for people who really need it and are under care. Yeah. So I basically coach them on how to get what they need to get to me so I can get them their wig.
And is there like any special thing that they've got to go through with the VA in order to get to you and to get that paid for?
Actually, no, they just need a referral with my information on it. Most vets tend to think that, oh no, they tell me where to go. No, I can coach you on how to do that. I'm a veteran too, trust me. And I worked in healthcare for a very long time. I can give you the keywords.
Awesome.
There's 21 million women in the United States that suffer from the extreme hair loss.
Okay.
And 4% of the women, that's like 1 out of 25, are female veterans.
Okay. And is there anything that's making that trend go, like, is that trending higher than, I don't know, a decade ago, 2 decades ago?
It's trending higher now because of the different styles of weaving. Most weaving tend to have side effects that cause alopecia. So that's more like the traction alopecia. So basically they're getting weaving services and they're getting their hair pulled out, which should not be happening. But, some people just, they don't really have a passion and care. It's a business, I understand, but I'm here to help them grow their hair back and have alternative ways of, hiding until it grows back. Or if it's not able to grow back, we have services where,
Love that.
And that's very important to women is to feel themselves.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. I think that it's really helping all of these veterans, not just the veterans, but just women in general, because if it is such a bad issue, just having something out there that can help them with that, I think is super important. So thank you so much for that, for your service.
Oh, yes. My pleasure.
Well, and I just remember when you and I first met, right, at Entrepreneurs Boot Camp for Veterans, right, that the McFerrin Center puts on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and that experience with EBV?
Well, first of all, I knew about Texas A&M because it's such a great school, heard great things about it. That's why I chose that school to go to for that program. The whole program was amazing. Anything and everything you need to know to start a business, they basically teach you. You leave with so much information. I think it took me like 2 or 3 days to decompress all the information I learned just in that week-long residency. And fellowship mentors even came to help us. It was just a great experience.
That's awesome.
Never felt like that ever in my life, as far as just being in a program strictly for veterans.
Yeah, for sure. And if you are a veteran, you're listening to this, whether you're an Aggie or not, it doesn't matter. You can join EBV. They put out applications a couple of times a year and look through them. And it's very, very helpful for pretty much all sorts of businesses. So while we're talking about EBV, what was your biggest takeaway from going through the EBV program?
I mean, obviously, everything we learned was a big takeaway because some of the things I didn't even know I needed to do as far as for my business. The biggest takeaway is knowing that I had people to not just really fall back on, but if I had any questions or anything I needed help with, they are able and very willing to help, and mentors to actually bounce ideas or just talk about things that you can't really talk about to anyone else or other people that's not in your shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's super important for any entrepreneur. We sit out on islands, and if we can allow it to happen, we can just sit out on an island and suffer, right? Or we can reach out to others in a community like EBV. All sorts of things are out there, for every entrepreneur. You just have to go seek it out. So, Melanie, why don't you tell me what's been your biggest challenge, right, so far in your entrepreneurial journey, and how is your core values guiding you through it all?
My core values, as far as just taking the lead, it's really challenging just getting the word out, like with the cranial prosthesis. I'm going to say with medical wigs, it's really hard getting the word out there because I tend to cater to women veterans. So it's really hard to get that word out there that this service is available for them to utilize. as a fellow veteran myself, I know it's very difficult to talk about this type of issue, which is even civilians or even, just family, other people at the VA. So in most services at the VA, they don't display them. That's the most challenging for me.
How are you getting through that? Are you having to market specifically towards veterans, and how do you do that?
Well, in my industry, it's kind of feet to the pavement kind of situation. In some cases, I've heard, just call and introduce yourself and just offer your services. But really, I had to become a veteran financial center vendor in order just to do business with the VA. I'm already there. As far as getting the word out to the veterans, I actually have to do social media. Is a big way on how I get my customers and clients. But I actually have to go into the VA, each individual VA, and speak to different social workers, dermatology departments, different primary. Like I have to actually go in and talk to these people to let them know, hey, give them my flyers and even talk to the patients while I'm there.
Awesome. The people that you work with, do they have to be there? I know you're in Katy. Do they have to come to Katy in order to work with you?
Actually, no. I have other ways of getting what I need done so that I can get the wigs to the patients. We can do Zoom consultations. If you're within the Houston area, I can actually come to you. I also extend my services to veterans outside of the Houston area and out of state. That's another thing. I'm also licensed in Florida as well. So I go to Florida sometimes and service some clients there too. So, and if they are out of state, I actually get what I need as far as, through the consultation process. And when I have the wig available, because it does take about 3 to 4, the latest I've seen is 5 months for the wigs to be made. They're customized specifically for the patient or client head to fit them perfectly. So it looks as natural as possible. It takes a long time for these wigs to be made. And when they come in, I have sent them to the patient and care package, as far as everything that they need to have it installed, or even free items like shampoos and different things that I utilize in my salon. So yeah, they don't have to be in the area.
Okay. All right. And that's definitely good to know. So, and I'm going to dig further into this because I have no idea how wigs are even made. How do you make a wig?
A hand tying. This particular wig, because some wigs are made with lace, but the medical grade wigs, they have a special material on the inside. Actually, I have one. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
This particular area right here.
Remember to talk through this because this is also a podcast, right?
Yes. I have the medical wig. It's turned inside out. So this is the special material right here. Yeah. And this is the lace part of the wig that actually goes at the top that looks very natural.
Interesting.
This is actually all over the wig, but the special material is put on top so that the alopecia part won't get irritated.
Okay.
And it's hand tied by hand. So that's why it takes so long. Yeah. Strand by strand. So...
And is that you making that wig, or do you send that out to like a wig manufacturer or something?
I have a vendor. I have 3 vendors that I have that make them for me, but I do make the mold that's needed to make that wig.
I see. So that it's more custom fit to that person.
Yes, very cozy.
And do you do it for women and men, or just is this primarily women that you work with?
I can work with men too. Now, I'm not that good with men's haircuts. So I partner with a man barber that can cut. But I don't, most men don't want to walk out with their piece, looking a little funny. So I tend to come in contact with more women because they're coming out with straight up hairstyle when they leave. So
okay. And I find that probably men are just like, okay, well, it's gone. I'm getting rid of it, right?
Right. They're more
it's a little easier.
They take it better than we do.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that we highlight on Aggie Growth Hacks is, your big, hairy, audacious goal. And this is basically your 5 to 10 year moonshot. What's your big, hairy, audacious goal? What's your BHAG?
I would for sure like to have multiple locations in the Houston area, more, and also in Florida as well. Probably more so by the end of the 10th year, open a school or something.
Awesome.
I love teaching. Actually, that's my next thing that I'm getting into is teaching business in extension classes. So
All right.
gaining more staff and, of course, more staff with the location. So
Sure. Awesome. Love that. And do you have a specific amount of locations in mind, or just, like 20 locations, 100 locations?
20 sounds good. I know for sure I want to have at least 3 in Houston, major cities in Florida. That's mostly where all of the VA centers are, including Pensacola. I miss Pensacola. I used to go there all the time in the Navy. So yeah, 20 locations. And I'm also working on my license for Georgia too. So I'm looking to expand to Georgia as well.
And I absolutely love that. Every single business, most businesses, let me put it this way, are in expansion mode. We're always, trying to figure out how we're going to get, and that's what that big, hairy, audacious goal is all about. So I love that you're thinking, a little bit bigger and looking to go to those 20 locations. Okay, so this brings us into the lightning round. Are you ready, Melanie?
As ready as I can be.
Question number 1. What is your favorite personal hack? This could be a book, a podcast, pretty much anything goes here. We're Aggie Growth Hacks. Give us your best hack.
My best hack, basically making lists. I make lists of everything. When I'm done checking off whatever I need to do, sometimes my list is as long as the paper, maybe even 2 pieces of paper. But I write everything out. As I get it done, I cross it out. And when it gets halfway done, I make a new list. Another personal hack, I like to listen to this podcast on YouTube for just personal, watching another stylist that does basically the same thing. She does a little bit more than I do. Elite Hair Care USA. She's located in Florida, and she does different vlogs of her doing hair on people who have extreme hair loss as well. And she has product lines in different locations. So very inspiring.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What is your favorite business hack, book, podcast, anything goes here again?
Hair Business Blueprint YouTube channel. He is very informative. Like, he has everything, as much as beauty business, extensions business, wigs. And that's my lane. So I enjoy watching him. He even discussed drop shipping. I never thought to do that. Business plan, marketing, social media marketing, everything.
Love it. All right, Melanie, what is the best advice that you've ever been given, and bonus points for how you actually applied it?
Best advice I was given was to start teaching.
Okay.
And I actually working on that right now. I have a course, a beauty business and sanitation and hygiene course that I'm working on, editing my videos for my website right now. Okay. And right after that is extensions.
Awesome. So, all right. You can put those on YouTube or anything like that? You can be able to watch it?
I have plans to teach other things on YouTube, hair products and how to read labels and things like that. So
awesome. Love that. All right, Melanie, how can the Aggie Growth Hacks family get in touch with you and support you and encourage you moving forward?
My website, Unconscious Beauty with the E, not a Y.com. I also have a Linktree website is unconsciousbeauty.info, info@unconsciousbeauty.com, and call or text anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing all of your advice that you've ever been given and all that kind of stuff here with the Aggie Growth Hacks community.
Thank you.
Well, how about that, Ags? Was that pretty awesome or what? I know that I wrote down a whole page of notes like I normally do. I have tons and tons of ideas that I took away from her. But I've got to say that my biggest takeaway from Melanie, where she said that her personal hack was to create lists. And yes, I know that sounds like kind of cliche. We all create lists. Us entrepreneurs create lists. But what I took away from that is that she not only creates lists, but she creates a list and then line items, every single little detail of what she needs to take care of. So basically a checklist, right? And this, to me, goes back to the checklist manifesto, right? That I read a long, long time ago and have implemented into my own business. But, lists are very important. And especially if you've got not just something to do, but if you've got something that you're doing over and over and over again, that you're going to eventually pass to an employee, you want to make sure that you create that checklist of everything that needs to happen with that, right? And hand that off to somebody else. That's the most important part, in my opinion, right? My biggest to-do list that I have is my stop doing list, right? I had a coach that told me that your stop doing list should be longer than your to-do list. Well, Ags, that's going to do it for another episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. We hope you enjoyed this episode and that you check out Melanie online on the social media accounts, on Instagram, out on Facebook, wherever that she is. And while you're out there, be sure to check out our Facebook group as well as aggiegrowthhacks.com. And while you're there, you can listen to previous episodes and check out some of our other content. We also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship for Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head on over to their website right now to find a program that's right for you. Just go to aggiegrowthhacks.com/McFerrin. Well, Ags, join us next time when we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter. Thanks and gig 'em.